Well, it's been a tough 24 hours for the Carlton Footy Club. There were some of the reactions from callers throughout the day, but also Mick Malthouse towards the end. We're live from Doncaster Hyundai, 825 Doncaster Road in Doncaster. And we've got two players from the Carlton Footy Club. We've got Nick Graham. He's a Carlton youngster. He's played just two games, both late in 2013. He's picked up 54 in the draft in 2012. Welcome aboard, Nick.
How you going?
Going really well. And the captain of the Carlton Footy Club, who I reckon he's had a pretty tough morning in Marc Murphy. G'day, Murph. How are you?
Good sorts yourself.
Going all right. How does it feel to hear comments like that from your supporters and obviously the barrage of criticism that you've copped and personally and also the team about your performance last night against the Bombers?
Yeah, look, it's fair enough to be honest. We spoke as a playing group after the game last night. There's a few home truths said. It was probably the first time for a long time been probably embarrassed out in the field. And yeah, it was very disappointing. But the good thing about football is, and it's round 3, that you get a chance this Saturday to rectify that and to prove to your supporters and your members and your teammates and the club that you can play good footy. And the effort wasn't there last night and it wasn't good enough.
In the post-match press conference, your coach said he never saw it coming. As a group, I mean, what was the feeling like 2 hours, an hour, 10 minutes before you ran out? Can you actually learn anything from, how you're feeling before you go out?
Oh, look, last week our training was probably the best it's been for a long time. Our training over the last month has been really good. And going into the game, we were pretty positive. We knew the way that they wanted to play, and we knew our sort of game style. If our pressure and intensity was right, that we could really match it with them. And as I said then, our intensity and pressure wasn't good enough, and we allowed them to do what they want to do, and that's get uncontested marks, use the ball at will, and that's what they did.
Is the bigger question, therefore, it was evident from the first bounce, quarter time you're in trouble. You can't reverse it during the game. Why can't it be reversed during a game? Is it just endemic, and therefore it's, you're going to see the 2 hours out like that?
Well, if we want to be a good club, we've got to stop it when sides get a run on, and unfortunately we couldn't. Our skills weren't good enough. We turned the ball over too easily and gave them easy goals. And then on the other hand, our pressure and at the source, at the ball and at the man wasn't good enough. So turnovers, pressure around the ball just wasn't where it needs to be at AFL level.
Nick, what about at the club? You boys had a great win. The Northern Blues came back from 6 goals down to defeat Williamstown. You guys would have been on a bit of a high, but then you got the senior boys that come in who have been belted from pillar to post. Mixed feelings amongst the players?
Yeah, definitely. Coming in this morning, most of the VFL boys were on a high, saying it's one of the best wins they've ever had, and obviously coming into the club they're feeling pretty positive, but to get around the older boys, they're feeling a bit down, so you just got to try and get the vibe up, and yeah, we know how they're feeling, so just look forward to next week now and try and rectify that.
Murph, Dermot Burdham had some comments to make about Andrew Carazzo. Said that he shirked the issue a couple of occasions, but probably justified in that recovering from a serious injury. Andrew Carazzo can never be doubted for his effort. He's a 100% player, but do you think the injury that he has sustained over the last season or so, do you think it's had an impact on his performance this year?
It's his first game back for quite a while. He hasn't had any lead-up games at all this pre-season, and I reckon last year.
Do you reckon that's a problem in itself, that he should have maybe played a couple to get back?
It's hard to say. He's a great leader around the club. He's trained really well the last 2.5 weeks, and unfortunately the VFL only had their first game on the weekend as well. So ideally you would have liked to see Andy probably play VFL in the first couple of rounds in the AFL season proper, but because of the fixture they sort of didn't allow that to happen. But he's a great leader around the club. We can really count him, and he's been through a lot with his body.
Does it hinder him? Do you think that contest where you've got to put your head over it and your body on the line that Dermot was explaining about, that you have not flashbacks, but you certainly are protective of maybe an injury, and you've had a shoulder problem, and coming back from when you hurt your shoulder, There's no doubt that you probably protect it, maybe not consciously, but you are favouring it at some stages.
Yeah, well, I don't know the incidents that Dermy's talking about, but I think Andy had 9 clearances, had a lot of contested balls on the weekend. Look, when you are playing football, you go in with injuries. I've had face surgery once and shoulder operations and come back from that, and you are a little bit wary sometimes putting your head over the ball again. And I think, as I said, you'd ideally like to have him play 1 week before coming into the season proper, but he's had that run now, and he'll be better for that next week, no doubt.
Question needs to be asked. Are the players playing for the coach? Mark Robinson wrote an article in today's paper that there's a disconnect between the players and the coach. And it's probably easy to make pot shots from the stands, but are the players playing for Mick Malthouse?
Yeah, we're right behind Mick. He's been great for the club. He's so positive, makes things very simple for the side. I'm just hoping that last night is just one of those things that nothing went right for us in the night. We'll learn our lessons from what happened. And when the chips are down, that's when you find out about characters around footy clubs. So we'll find out a lot about certain blokes on our side over the next month and obviously the rest of the season. So we'll see. I'm sure you'll see a very good response this Saturday.
Just going back to that Carazzo thing, whether it affects you subconsciously, when you did your shoulder, there was that thing on the boundary line with the two, I can't remember who the opponent was, but it was a mildly innocuous collision, wasn't it? When you did your shoulder.
Oh, that was back my first year, and then a couple of years ago against Dangerfield. Yeah.
It was near the boundary line. But so when you're going to have shoulder contact again with another player, is it anywhere in the back of your mind that you're aware of?
Oh, look, you are probably the first couple of contests that you go to, but after then you can't really worry about your body, and I don't think many blokes would after. I suppose, the first or second contest.
Okay, take away the personalities involved here, Carazzo and Brereton. When something is written in the press about an individual, about the club itself, does it ever get discussed, sitting around the rooms or as a group or anything like that? I mean, what's the impact of the media and the player and the team?
Yeah, there's, as you know, there's a lot of media and a lot of coverage about football, and obviously on the big stage last night in front of, a big audience. There's going to be a microscope on the game, but in-house you can't really react to what media types say about certain blokes. All you can do is have a look at the vision, see it in black and white, address it, and then go from there and rectify it that way.
As the captain, what about the talks of Bryce Gibbs and the possibility of leaving? Is it a distraction to the players, or is it a distraction to you? Is it a distraction to the club, or is it just outside talk?
I think it's mainly outside talk. I had a good chat with Gibbsy last week, obviously with a lot of the media.
What'd you tell him?
I just said he was a required player and asked him whether he wanted to be around the club, and he made it known that he does. So that's good enough for me.
Pretty direct.
He was emphatic about it?
He was, yeah.
And was that reassuring? Because he's a good mate of yours.
Yeah.
You've seen the good times, and you're going through a rough patch at the moment. To see him look you in the eye, was that a crucial point for your relationship?
Yeah, because it is tough. It's, I suppose, as you know, in football, talking about contracts is probably not something that players tend to do and talk about inside the footy club. But he's a good mate of mine, and he's a very important player to our side and our club going forward. So I think a lot of the talk, I just didn't want it to get to Gibbsy, because sometimes you can hear a lot from what's being said outside the club, and all you need to do is just worry about what's being said within the walls of the club. And I spoke to him and was frank with him, and he was frank with me, and hopefully he can get it sorted soon. Nick,
from the weekend, who are some of the players that are pushing for a senior selection? Because Mick will make changes. Who are some of the players that put their hand up on the weekend?
Young Paddy Cripps, our first round draft pick from this year, had a ripping game. I think he had 34 disposals, 8 inside 50, 17 contested, 6 clearances and kicked a goal. So he was easily best of field. Big Cam Wood has come into the club and really put his hand up for selection, I reckon, especially with Cruz going down now. He's I think he's averaging something over 40 hit-outs a game. So those two are really putting their hand up. And young Sammy Doherty played his first game for the club. Yeah, he went really well. Some good run off half back, kicked a ripping goal. So I reckon he just needs some game time under his belt, and he'll really push for senior selection as well.
You played a couple of games last year. Do you talk to your coach about where you are within the club pecking order and what you have to do to get yourself into the firsts?
Yeah, I'm in regular contact with Mick and the development group of what I need to work on to get into the senior side.
What does he tell you?
More offensive run. He thinks that I might get behind the footy a bit too much, so if I can get forward and start kicking goals, then I'll add another string to my bow and help me that way.
And Murph, what about Juddy? Where does he sit with his wealth of experience and leadership and so forth? I mean, he must be important to try and pick the group up as well as yourself.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's been a great player for such a long time and a great leader, so I had to chat to him this morning just about the game last night and about going forward this week and how we approach this Saturday. So,
can you tell us what he said?
I won't tell you too much, but it's really a mindset this week about not being down and not being negative on each other. We've got to have the hard conversations, but make sure we learn from that and move on and worry about training well this week and playing good footy this Saturday.
Would you rather play this week against a top 6 team or who you've got, Melbourne?
It doesn't really matter. We're just going out there with a focus of doing team first attitudes. Everything we're doing is about each other and improving each other's side. Because I reckon last night there was a bunch of individuals out there wearing the same jumper, and we need to rectify that this Saturday.
Last one. What do you want to see on the weekend, Saturday, coming up against Melbourne? You're in the middle, as you are always. What do you want to see from the first contest from each player?
Just attack on the ball and man, just ferociousness, and we've shown that we can do it in the past. I think our first quarter against Port Adelaide in round 1 was a benchmark that we need to set for the whole game each week, and we know we can do it. It's not foreign to us, so it's about doing that consistently.
Well, Marc, thanks for your time. Really appreciate you being honest the way you have been. And Nick, good luck in getting back into the senior side.
Yes, boys.
Thank you.